Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Always Almost There, Day After Show Live. My name is Ryan, and I am here today with very special guest Brandon W., and we are going to talk about Showmaha last night. Neil will also be joining us shortly. Brandon, how are you doing today?
Good, really good. Exhausting show as they always are, but always well worth it.
Awesome. Yeah, last night was Goose's first performance in Omaha. I mistakenly said first performance in Nebraska ever, and I was corrected. This was their first performance there since opening for, I believe it was Spafford in 2018. So it's been a very long time. But they came back. Showmaha.
Omaha, make it a thing.
Awesome. And this was a brand new venue, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't live in Omaha, but my friend said it's pretty new. It sure looked pretty new inside the venue. So yeah, I don't know how old it is, but it's definitely, and the whole area looked like super new as well. So pretty nice.
Amazing. Talk us through, getting to the venue, what it was like getting in. Where'd you post up? Take us through the pre-show.
So I figured that this would probably be my best chance to get really close, because like smaller venue, Nebraska, where like the jam scene isn't as popular. So I showed up right at 6 with my friend. We parked at a parking garage right across the street, and it was like super seamless, and then just walked a couple minutes, and like there was a short line at 6 to get into the venue, but it was really easy. And then we got in, and like we were in like the first like 3 rows, and that was really cool. We didn't end up staying there. I'll talk about like later when we move, but I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I'm this close.
And we got Neil here.
Hey.
Oh boy,
He made it. Hi, Neil.
Oh,
we're live on the air. He made it. Anyway, Brandon, where in front of the stage were you? More Trevor's side, Peter's side?
More. I was pretty much like dead in front of Rick.
Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing spot.
Yeah, not a bad spot at all.
It's good to be back on the couch again last night, especially because these Central Time shows are working for us. We realized that the next time that Goose plays in either Mountain or Pacific Time isn't until like late September. So that's fantastic for everybody. Amazing for our longevity and being able to watch shows. But let's dive right in here. Let's start with the beginning of the first set. Throw it over to you, Brandon. Dr. Darkness, Hojo, Indian River, Cantaloupe Island. How are you feeling about these first 4 songs?
I figured the darkness was coming. It seems like they're sticking with the typical opener type thing they're doing. I'm always happy to hear it. It's a really great song. And then I was really happy they played Hojo. That is such a fun cover. And then Indian River was cool. I kind of prefer the like darker reggae version that they played in Vegas. That was the other like show.
Yeah.
But it was still cool to see. And then like Delta is always like super fun. After that Delta jam, my 2 friends that came with me, they looked over at me and they were like, "Holy crap!" And they specifically were talking about Peter, and they were like, "What is going on?" And I was like, "This is Goose, guys. This is Goose." And then Cantaloupe, that came out of nowhere. I was not expecting them to play that, but that transition was like smooth. And I was really pumped to hear it. So I was feeling pretty good after those first 4. It was kind of interesting to get like 2 covers within those first 4, but I thought it was like a really solid, like really fun start to the show.
Sure. That's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, high energy as well. I like the way that the Dr. Darkness intro is kind of trending these days, especially with the OB6 getting in there. Nice textures. And then Hojo, shout out to friend of the pod, Working Man's Matt, who predicted a 40-minute Hojo before the show yesterday. I did ask him last night.
Close.
I did ask him last night. He didn't hear sound check. He's been talking about a 40-minute Hojo since last fall in Europe. Exciting to get the Hojo while it wasn't 40 minutes long. And yeah, and I mean, we've spent a lot of time talking about Indian River and, Welcome to Delta and how that kind of fits into a set. I'm very much in favor of a quick Delta into this Cantaloupe Island. As you said, Brandon, the segue was incredible. They execute this song so well. This is the second time they've done it out of Delta like this. The last one being in Bozeman last year, which is, if last night was as well, it didn't feel super spontaneous. Like it felt that could have been planned. I don't think we've seen a photo of a written set list pop up. So if anyone has seen that, please tag us on social media, because I would like to see if there were any changes. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the first four tunes. Neil, what do you got on the opening part of this show? Hi, Neil.
Oh, hey, what's happening? Brandon, welcome.
Hey.
Thanks for the introduction, Ryan. I really
No
appreciate
problem.
that. I just kind of snuck right in there. For those who are listening, I've been here for about 2.5 minutes or so, and just patiently waiting for my turn. So here I am. All right. What do I think about the first four? I mean, Dr. Darkness, cool, kind of different intro, So that's exciting. I mean, that was
Hope he
extra
sticks.
weird. It was legitimately terrifying at points. So depending on how you prepared for the show, that might have scared the shit out of you. So Hojo, I mean, you know how I feel about Hojo. That's my jam. That's the very first notes of Goose music I ever heard live were Hojo, way back in, gosh, it was a long time ago.
2020.
In any case, and then Indian River, always good, and then Cantaloupe Island, yes. The fact that it's being played at least once a year at this point has me pretty excited. I love Cantaloupe Island, and I feel like I need to explain my relationship with this song. I mean, it rules, first of all. I think everybody
first
who's
and
ever
foremost,
heard it,
we can agree.
It's one of those songs that you think everybody can agree on. It's like Creedence Clearwater Revival. You hear them, and you're like, this is not offensive. This is good. This is good stuff. Whereas, I feel like if you hear, there's a debate, the Beatles and the Stones. You hear the Beatles, and some people will be like, Stones guy, same deal. But
you've heard it here first,
Cantaloupe
guys.
Island.
Neil loves CCR.
I mean, who doesn't, right? It's like kittens and puppies. Who would not like dogs? That's the question.
Couldn't be me.
Yeah, I don't know. So no, I got a thing I want to say about Cantaloupe Island. So I've had this relationship with the song since I was a young man. Not because I knew Cantaloupe Island, but because there was a song by the briefly popular hip hop group Us Three, named Cantaloupe, and then Bitty Bitty Bop in parentheses. So if anybody knows what I'm talking about, say something in the comments. But so that was my introduction to Cantaloupe Island, and now Goose actually plays it in between sets. It's on now that's what I call
Cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe, L-O-O-P.
Yeah, no, Cantaloupe. So how is Cantaloupe related to Cantaloupe Island? Just because it
samples the song, right?
Oh,
that's
okay.
The whole point of the story.
You didn't say that. You did. Wasn't clear.
Well, so some people have heard the song.
I haven't.
Point.
That's
well, you have, because you've been to 40 Goose shows, or 50 Goose shows.
40.
So you've just not realized that you've heard it. That's my point.
Fair enough.
That was a whole aside about nothing. It's just 3:40 in the afternoon, and
we
I had
love
a shitload of caffeine today.
We love tangents.
I wanted to talk about Us Three because I do think that song is dope. So yeah.
All right. Well, going back to the show, we have a question in the chat. You were never popular. We have a question in the chat from Matthew Ross here for you, Brandon. 3K capacity for the venue. How many people would you say were there last night? Because some people were saying before the show that it wasn't, super full, but it looked on the stream as though by the time the band went on, the place got packed. So how many people would you say were there if you had to guess?
So if I had to guess, it certainly was not a sellout. You could tell, especially towards the back, there was a pretty good amount of open space. And even in front of the soundboard, there was a pretty good amount of space. I would guess about 2K, maybe slightly over that.
Solid for a Monday in Nebraska.
It's really solid. And Nebraska's not a place for jam bands. It's just not popular there. So I was actually shocked that there was that many people there. Now I'm sure a lot of people drove from other states, but I was pretty stoked with the turnout. Yeah, and like before it started, it looked a little bit like sparse, but it really filled up as it got closer to them actually playing,
Great to hear.
which was awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's continue on with this first set here. We've got Echo of a Rose into Honeybee, Bob Don back into Echo of a Rose. Cool little segment here. Really great Echo. But yeah, Brandon, what do you think?
I was really stoked for the Echo. It's one of those that like I feel like it's just like really fun to like sing along with. Like not quite as fun to sing along with as like Rockdale, but I put it up in like that like same category. At this point, I was like, okay, they're definitely going to be jamming this, and I couldn't really hear super great in that first set because like I was so close, and I went back and like re-listened today, and it was definitely a lot better than I was thinking in the moment. And there's a point around like the 10-minute mark in the jam where Trevor just I don't know if I would say like takes over, but you're like, oh,
But he takes over.
and he's and it's like I was like, oh yeah, because I could really hear him super well at the front either.
Sure.
So that was it was pretty sweet. I mean, it was like a pretty, I feel like for them like pretty like standard like groove, but really fun to see live, and like that what it led to was pretty sweet as well. Was not expecting that. Did you want me to go into the following three as well?
Sure.
Or just okay. So Honeybee, I was kind of shocked they went into that. It was good. The last like minute was actually like kind of intense, which I was like not expecting it at all. But I was like, holy crap! Like this is awesome. And then Bob Don with was pretty great. I mean, it's just a rocker, and they were just like ripping it up. And then I figured they were gonna finish up the Echo. I didn't know if they were gonna like save it for the second set. I figured they'd probably finish it up in the first set. So that was really cool to get it like finished up and have a nice little Echo sandwich in that first set.
Perfect. Yeah, Neil, you got thoughts on this Echo sandwich?
Echo sandwich. Yeah, I mean the jam is good. The first Echo.
Yeah.
Is I enjoyed that. I mean, I will say this. It's in like I don't mean to like take away from how good this jam is, but it's pedestrian. This is like the first show I think I've heard since the tour started where I've been like, there's a handful of pedestrian jams. But I did like this one, but it is, I don't know, just regular Goose.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. And maybe it's just
which is to say, still very good jamming.
Yes.
Yeah. And like you're used to a lot of really, really high quality stuff because you're seeing some of the best jams they've ever played, maybe over the past, I don't know, few months, at least since the start of 2024. They're operating at a high level. So like you're expecting more. But in any case, I did enjoy this Echo of a Rose. Honeybee, not surprised that there's heat in Honeybee. I mean, it is a guitar forward song. And we were just having this conversation about Mr. Action the other day. Like, you can say what you want to say about Mr. Action. Some people like the song, some people hate the song. I'm personally a Mr. Action lover. I love it. And I also love when Rick just goes off. And some people don't love Honeybee, and he will go off in this song. It's a pretty neat guitar part.
Yeah.
First of all.
People don't love the song, but I think every single time, if you're there, like you're just getting like hosed down by the guitar solo.
Well, that's my point.
End. Yeah.
Is any time that Rick has the opportunity to just melt your face, he can do so. And he can do it in Pancakes. He can do it in a 30-minute Madavon, and he can also do it on the tail end of Honeybee. And I really do legitimately mean that. I'm not being facetious in any way. So it's a rarity. And so I think when you do get it now, like especially for the type of person who cross things off of lists, you've seen a bunch of shows and you haven't yet seen a Honeybee, you get to knock this one off the list. And, Coach got to do the rain stick, so he felt special. That's good.
Shout out to Coach on rain stick. I think it was funny because I'm going to guess that based on how the beginning of Honeybee went, they weren't planning on splitting Echo like that. Because Coach like wasn't ready for the beginning of Honeybee, and usually he is, or maybe Honeybee was supposed to come later in the show. But I initially was like, oh, I guess this will be the second consecutive Honeybee without Coach on Rainstick because they didn't when they played Honeybee in Glasgow in November. There was no Rainstick, But then, then you saw the camera following Coach as he walked onto the stage a little late for that. Yeah, I agree with you on the Echo. There's some really cool moments in it, but overall, this is a standard, average, great 19 minutes of Goose.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Bob
of
Don.
course, Bob Don with. Yeah. I didn't
With.
finish that part. Yes.
Yes.
So
We
now
have a
we
question
have actually. Yeah.
from the chat.
So
Neil.
can you explain? Well, I mean, you can do it better than I can. Why don't
Okay.
you do it?
So for those wondering what with means, with refers to that like mellow outro jam after the end of the song, where Peter goes to piano. Last night you had this really excellent, as Rick is kind of bringing us into the with jam, Peter like whips up this like cloud of just noise with his guitar and then puts down his guitar and goes to piano while
Very
this like
Radiohead.
cloud is just like going.
Yeah.
And it was great. I love that.
That was really good.
Shout out to Kev, Bob Don with. And this is a proper with, not like the cap, which was not a proper with. This is a proper with.
I mean, it was still a with, right? Peter said it was a with.
Yeah, but this is a proper with.
This one requires no endorsement. There wasn't a question on this one. It's the real deal. And so, go back and listen to this, and just so you understand what the fuss is about with. Because Bob Don without with is just not
without
the same. Yeah, it's just it is no good. I mean, it is good. It's great, but the with is just that floaty jam that comes off.
I still remember the first time they played with, and we got very excited about it.
We did. Still excited about it. I'm excited today about last night. Even
Yes,
it's true.
Amazing. And then they finish Echo. Super fun. And then I was expecting the set to finish up there because we were already at like 70, almost 70 minutes, I think. But then they drop the first butter rum with Cotter. This was something that we've talked about a little bit that, maybe it was going to be on the shelf. It is not on the shelf. It is here. And the crowd knows how to sing the call and response, which is cool. But Brandon, let's chat about this butter rum. What are your thoughts on this butter rum?
So I was really shocked when I thought the set was like absolutely going to end right there. So like when they went into it, I was like, okay, it's not going to end right here, but like they're just going to like they'll jam like a little bit out, like get like a couple minutes, and then the set will end. And so it kind of like started that way, but then things quickly changed and went a complete different direction. And I mean, it was sick. Like it was because it's so sometimes it's like some songs you like expect there's going to be like a jam, and on that one I was like, what is happening? And I don't know if you guys picked up on this on the webcast or not. And actually, I didn't notice this live. I had to go back and re-listen to it. But there's a point after they like get into like the weirdness and the space where like Getty's like using the fog machine sound as like an actual instrument.
It's so loud.
It's so loud. But it was really cool. And I was like, oh my gosh, like he's absolutely doing that. Like it was like timed up and everything. So yeah, that was wild. I mean, I think it was probably my favorite jam from the show, just because like it was like so unexpected. There might be one from the second set that we'll get to, but pretty awesome. Like nice surprise to get something extra special on Butter Rum, and the fact that like it still is going to be in the rotation I was already happy enough with that just to hear it.
Yeah. Honestly, being back on the couch last night after seeing 2 shows and still hearing the fog machines, like I'm convinced that like Loomis has a channel on the soundboard for the fog machines. Like I'm convinced they're mic'd up somehow. I don't see how it's possible for them to be this loud.
So we've joked about it on the pod. We've said that like,
but like I'm serious.
Like CK5, like AG6, but like I mean, he's not doing it with the lights. He's doing it with the music. Like he really is the 6th member of the band. We've joked about that, but then the other day Goose posted about it. I forget what they said about the smoke machines, and then I replied, like, "Those puppies are really loud." And then Peter, I'm assuming Peter, liked that, and I wonder if he's in on the joke. They got to be in on the joke. Like they have to be aware of this. I mean, Peter definitely hears it. I could see Getty being like kind of cheeky about it.
Yeah,
being like, "Oh, I'm it up on the boards." Like if you go back and if you watch the day of show episode of the 2019 Goose Miss, Just
Back
so you
in
get
the
an
day.
idea of like what the story I'm trying to tell about Getty here. There's a point at which he's got like snow, like it's like making snow inside of the Wall Street Theater in Norwalk, which is hilarious. And then like he turns, I think, to Rick, and he's like, "I hope it doesn't fuck your equipment up." So like I could see him kind of doing this with the fog machines, you know.
Yeah, I think
Go back
I
and
think
watch that Days Show episode. It's really good, really good.
you should, if you haven't seen all the old Day of Show episodes, you should go watch them,
do it.
because especially the 2019 ones are a hoot.
Can we talk about
but
the hot rum though? I'm sorry, I got sidetracked again. That's the
well, I
all
mean
day
the fog
today.
machine, the fog machines are a very important topic, and I was just gonna
Yeah,
say,
true.
I wonder if this is gonna be like a Jeb Bomb thing from last year, where it's like really like everywhere for a little while, and then it's like, okay, we kind of went through the joke, and then it calms down. Like, but I seriously, I want to ask them if like they're mic'd. Like, I want to know why they come through so clearly on the soundboards.
I mean, their mic has to be right next to where they are. Like so there's a lot of theories on this. Is like, well, the drum mics are picking it up, or like, this mic or that mic. I think honestly, they
But it's
do have
so
a crowd
clear.
mic. Yeah, I think they have a crowd mic, and I think they stick it right next to it. And like, I think they're aware of it.
They're up so far above the band. Like, there's loud at Fiddlers. Like, and that was like very far away. Like, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Hashtag conspiracy meal is on the case.
Today's episode.
He's
can I get like my own section on like every show, or like I just like drop
conspiracy
my
meal?
latest conspiracy theory?
All right.
So far it's been like mysterious mics miking smoke machines, and then Goose lying about playing Colorado. Right?
Yeah, that's
like,
the thing.
They are going to play more Colorado this year. I don't know. In any case, rum was hot. It was really hot. It's actually like really good. Reminded me of New Haven back in 2022, where nobody wanted to discuss the hot rum that was played in New Haven, and it was good. And sometimes butter rum can be a good jam, and it's like the thing that I said. I think this was last episode we were talking about, like the Ricky Bobby thing with like the Big Red. Like if you don't like Big Red, then fuck you. Like I think that goes for butter rum. So
if you don't like butter rum, Neil says fuck you.
Fuck you.
There you go.
That's gonna be clipped and put on Twitter immediately.
This is a hot rum. This is absolutely a hot rum. My thoughts on it, it's kind of felt very similar to some of these 15-minute rums that we had in 2023. They just get into this like dark disco synthy space for 15 or so minutes. Rick shreds. This one obviously has the Cotter effect, so is a little bit of a different feel. But it didn't feel super, unique or crazy to me. Now, we haven't heard rum in a while, so it was like, whoa, like, we're really going after it here. But on re-listen today, it was like, okay, it's a 15-minute rum. Nothing super, super crazy. But, hot way to close the set. And again, from the couch, you don't understand the vibes in the room. Shout out to the interns who always remind us of the importance of vibes. But it looked like the crowd was going nuts for this rum and the end of the set. Like, was it an amazing way to end the set, Brandon?
Yeah, for sure. It was really fun to hear people, chanting it back. And I think it's just like, it's a really fun song. Like, if you've never heard Goose before, which was like the two people I were with, like weren't really familiar with them, like they're having a blast. Like, even if you don't know the song, it's like, it's catchy, it's fun. Like it's just a fun song to jam to at a show. So yeah, I thought it was a really, really great way to end the set.
It's also pretty funny. I always find it funny that the song is written about a literal muffin. Like you could think that like, it's like a euphemism or an innuendo about like a person or whatever.
A metaphor.
But no, it's literally about a muffin that Rick got at a bakery once.
So what is an island muffin?
I don't know. That's a question. That's a question for Rick. Yeah. Now that we're getting into the weeds,
it's about a muffin. Like, well, no, you claim you have inside information about how this song is written.
I forget. I forget where I heard it.
Island muffin.
I forget where I heard it.
Okay,
but it was from a credible source.
It just does not sound credible at all.
All right. Well,
conspiracy meal is a metaphor.
Conspiracy meal is on the case. He's on the case. He's gonna find out what really is going on about butter
Yeah.
rum. And he
When I
will
go to
report back.
Northlands, I'm just gonna somehow corner Rick and be like, "I've got a list, and you're gonna answer every single one of these questions. God damn it, and you're not going anywhere."
Number one,
Number
what is
one.
a sweet island muffin?
Is it a
Why is it an
metaphor,
island?
or is it like a real muffin? And if it is in fact a real muffin, what the hell is an island muffin? Because I can Google it right now, and I'm not going to find anything that seems conclusive. I'm just saying that. I can't believe you're actually doing it. All right, so let's move on in the set here.
Well, it's actually set break
it's
here.
set break, yeah,
Brandon, tell us about set break at the show last night. What were the vibes like? What did you get up to? You said you moved spots.
Yeah. So I figured sound would be, well, I think I've heard you guys on the podcast say it's best to like move back if you want like the best like sound experience. So I went back we went and got some merch real quick. Saw a friend from high school. That was cool.
Nice.
I convinced him to come. And so like we talked to him for a little bit, got a beer, and then I went to the merch line, and then just kind of like sat on these railings. They there's a different type of stamina you have to have at jam shows, because like it's long and it's a lot of music, a lot of playing, and I think like my legs were tired, but they were like, I don't know if they had experienced anything like that yet. So we heard them start like kicking up, and then we went back in and posted up like in front of the soundboard, and we were ready to roll. I feel like the set breaks this tour have been much shorter than they have been in the past.
Last night was
I'm
quick.
not complaining about.
Yeah, we said it the other
minutes?
day. Yeah, I think last night's might have actually been under 30.
Oh my
which
gosh.
is kind of insane to think about.
Yeah.
In terms of just what we know about Goose and their time management.
Yeah.
So another shout out to SK.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep shouting her out on every episode as long as time management keeps up like this. She's doing an incredible job as always. But
would love to know the secret.
This aspect of tour management, obviously not her fault. We know that Rick likes to, take his time getting ready to get on stage. But
Yeah.
what did you say, Brandon?
He's in meetings, remember?
Yeah.
Fiddler's Night 1, I think, is what came out late, or maybe it was Night 2, but
yeah,
that's funny.
Well,
oh yeah.
Well, so we'll see as the tour goes on. Like, does SK have more grip all of a sudden? Like, has she gotten a weapon? Or like some kind of device? Because like it's
like a shock collar.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. Is like,
Yeah.
some kind of like corrective
Get on stage
device.
Yeah.
Well, no. Well, we're grateful for whatever they've managed to pull off. Maybe they've all turned over a new leaf, right? Like if you go back and listen to the Frasco interview, which is really good, and I recommend that folks go and listen to it because those guys are like really funny. But one of the things that they're talking about is like Rick just kind of offers this, which is really funny. Where he's like, well, yeah, every time we go out on tour, we're like, we're going to do this differently. And then by like the sixth show, they're like, oh yeah, no, like we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So like, we'll see where we're at. We might be in that zone, where they've had their like New Year's resolutions, as it were.
Right.
And like, we might be on the better side of that. And then, the gym membership just goes to shit at some point.
Right. Which is unfortunate because all the hard 10 p.m. curfew venues are towards the end of the tour, but we'll figure that out. I love what's been happening with Jeff in second sets this tour. Like he's been kind of like subdued in the first set, he's playing, and then he comes out for set 2. I don't know what he's been doing at set break, but he comes out and he's just like cracking jokes, making faces at the camera. Last night they come out. Thank you, Dylan. Last night's set break, according to the stream, is around 24 minutes, which might be an all-time record for Goose. Hell yeah. But yeah, Jeff comes out and, before the band has played a note, you guys like breakfast? Which immediately, I immediately typed pancakes for the set list thread. I was like, all right. After that, yeah.
It's a deadpan, like Letterman delivery. Like, you guys like breakfast? Like, I mean, it's just,
yeah.
Hell, man. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. But the Jeff show continues. That's what I have to say about that. Because
he's having fun.
To quote Jive Goose, like he clearly does not give a fuck. And that one shows it. I don't know. That's great.
Yes. Brandon, let's talk about this pancakes. What did you think about this pancakes?
So I was pretty excited to get this one. I've been wanting it for a while, and like, there's nothing like that, like drum intro, like you know what's coming, and that opening riff is just like so good. It was. I thought the jam was kind of similar to Echo in a sense that like it just kind of felt more like standard Goose. Like it was good, obviously, but nothing like too crazy. Like fun to listen to and like awesome to see live. And then I always go nuts when they go back into the song, and so that was just like awesome to see. Like it just pumps me up so much to get that ending. So I don't really have much else to add about that. I think every other jam in this set like is a lot more notable than this one is.
All right,
Pancakes.
Neil?
Good high energy tune. Way to start off the set. I mean, it doesn't all have to be, Cat Pancakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Every once in a while, they'll just go out and play like a nice feisty one, and that's what this one was. Same thing with Echo for Rose. Every once in a while you get like a little bit of a heater, and like that's kind of what you got here. But yeah, pedestrian jamming, I think, for Goose. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they're going through the motions. Maybe they're just more focused on the songs, because it does seem like they were focused on kind of playing the songs and playing them well.
Yeah. We did have before I talk about the pancakes. We did have a question. Set break music was sweet. Need a playlist. Just to backtrack a little bit, I'm going to drop in the chat right now. If you are watching live, wherever you're watching live, unless it's Twitter, I just dropped you a link to Coach's Spotify profile where you can see all of the now that's what I call TED mixes, including the one for his son Bodie, if that's your thing. But that's what they're playing at set break. And if you are not watching live and you would like to find this, just go on Spotify and search Now That's What I Call TED, and you will see the various playlists that Coach has put together. They're great. Check them out.
Yeah. Possible, however, that the question was, what was the live music on the stream? In which
that's
case
also
you're
possible.
Out of luck.
Yeah. Unless you're talking about Chateau Jam.
Yes, but there are other jams in there, and boy, are they good! Holy smokes!
Yeah.
Actually, can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah. Then we'll get back to the
Brandon,
pancakes.
Sorry,
no, it's okay. I was hoping someone was going to bring this up at some point because I was wondering myself about this.
Yeah, there is one that they have in the mix there. It like sounds like the freaking Rolling Stones. Like there's just like straight Keith Richards chops getting dropped in there, and it does not sound like Goose at all.
Yeah,
and I'm so excited about it. Like I hope we get more of that style of jam. Like maybe that's
they
like
release
the new
these
tapes.
They're not going to, but I hope they do.
It's so good. I absolutely love this stuff, and it would be nice if they released it. I mean, there's so many good jams like that out there, and I don't know, maybe we'll never hear them.
But yeah, there were some really cool ones. I think it was I was with my friend Dylan, shout out, who's in the chat, last night, and there was one point, I think it was pre-show when we turned on the stream, there was a minute where it was like, wait, is this Goose? Like, like sounded so different.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, wait, that is like, and there was one that was like really cool, 2 guitar stuff, but these are the Chateau tapes that we, haven't heard. Whether it's from that initial session, for like those initial sessions from the winter, or pre-summer tour rehearsals. Like, I love that they've been recording and mixing these, and like it's cool that also we're getting fresh TED tapes. Like I think there were some last night that they definitely were not playing on the stream for the St. Louis shows last week, and I'm sure there are more new ones that'll pop up. So I'm excited about this. As much as I would love for them to release it, I'm just excited that we get to hear this in any capacity. They're sick.
They're sick.
So anyway, this pancakes
Yes.
opening the second set here to get us back on track here after I pulled us onto a tangent. I totally agree with you, Brandon. Definitely continuing the trend of more standard style Goose jamming. Really, really solid pancakes. And I think it's the theme of this show, the theme of this set. Really, really high energy, really great playing. You're not getting the super deep improv that you got at times in Colorado and St. Louis. But that's okay. It's a Monday night in Nebraska. They know that they're playing to a crowd of people who maybe hasn't seen Goose before, or hasn't seen them very much. And so they're catering to that. And I think that this jam is a great pick. They did a little bit of that, like Rick did a little bit of that, like toying with the re-entry before fully going back in again, like he did at the Cap, which was cool. But all in all, great pancakes, super high energy. And then we move into Mist. and the Old Man's Boat is kind of the middle of the set here. Brandon, what do you think of these two?
Mist was awesome. I really like. I feel like right now they're really hitting the Bliss jams pretty frequently, but also like very well. Like they're good Bliss jams. So I feel like they kind of get to that, but it does get kind of spacey for a little bit too, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely not the Cap Mist, but it was like fun and just like it's fun to. I feel like they were kind of like it was kind of a good sample of like everything that they not. I shouldn't say everything, but a lot of the stuff that they do really well like comes through in a lot of these jams. And that's another reason why I think and Ryan and I were talking before the pod. This is a great show to send to somebody that's never listened to Goose before. Like you get a really good sample of like all the different things they do. So I think this one I found it a little bit more interesting just because like it got like spacer. It was fun. Like I'll listen to this one again. Also because it gets kind of like blissy as well at the end. So yeah, good solid Mist. I was happy with that one for sure.
Yeah, my only complaint about this Mist is that it's unfinished. They had the perfect opportunity at the top of the peak to go back in. I really want to know why Rick doesn't want to finish Mist. Or why whether it's him or it's multiple people in the band. But this is spectacular. This is like the Cap jam. Honestly, it felt like a similar level of joy and bliss to the Cap one, just condensed into about half the runtime.
Yeah.
Listened to it twice today, and I was like, I had a huge grin on my face. I was like pumping my fist. Like it's amazing. And I love that if this is our standard 14-minute Mist now, I'm in.
Yeah.
Sign
yep. Yep.
Because I can deal without like the 14 minutes of like a droning 4 on the floor, then you're out. This is like makes you feel happy. How can you go wrong? Just more Bliss jams. Do it all the time. Poor Vickers in his playlist. Like I don't know how he's going to keep up, but like it is what it is. There's so like they're hard to differentiate now. There are so many damn Bliss jams this year. And so like if that's what 2024 is like the year of Goose Bliss, like great. I'm absolutely signed up for it. And we've got some darkness too, but in any case. Yeah, man.
Yeah. And then we get then we get the boat here. First boat with the jam in a long time since Spokane, because they played it jam in Bristol, which was a tragedy. Like a tragedy. But we talked about that.
They were on a boat
in November. Yeah, they were on a boat and they didn't play the best part of the Old Man's Boat. But anyway, this one is super, super cool. Brandon, what were you thinking about this boat?
I mean, again, first of all, was just happy to hear it. I mean, I don't. I've been following Goose for pretty closely for about 2 years, and I can't recall this one really ever popping up too frequently at any point in time. So I felt like the rarity factor was kind of nice. But it's a like great song, and I was like already well aware of like the jam that doesn't always like come with it, and so like I was like, oh please, 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 and so like when they kicked into it, I was like, yes, thank you. It's just such a good groove.
It's a vibe.
I play the jam every time, and I don't even care if it's just like 10 minutes of like just sticking with that groove. It's so good that like I'll be happy with it. Like never play it without the jam. I feel like you can't do it without the jam.
Yeah.
There's other
play the
ballads
jam without the song, right?
Yeah.
Like I'd be
I'm
fine
in.
with that.
I'm in.
Just slide that jam in somewhere.
Yeah, and obviously
so
some amazing OB6 synth work happening from Peter here. This is the theme of the year so far for him. He's doing some incredible stuff on that synth. And yeah, just the textures he's laying down. I also think his vintage vibe tone right now sounds better than it ever has been. Just the way he's using the effects with it. I don't know if something has changed with the pickups. We know he has the slider to adjust the pickup position. I don't know if he's using a different area of it more, but I think the last few shows, his vintage vibe has sounded absolutely perfect. It really comes through here.
I just want to say, nobody tinkers with their sound better than he does. Like it's actually kind of crazy how much of a work in progress it is. I think everybody in the band is consistently changing, but he is changing in remarkable ways, right? He's getting whole new instruments. The OB6 feels like a step up from what was the one before it? Was it the Prophet
The
before? Or was the
Prophet
Prophet the
6.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then before the Prophet was
The
the
Moog Matriarch.
matriarch. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Ryan. But then there's just an assortment of little things that he's got there that he messes with, or like he gets the slider put into the vintage vibe, which I think has affected the sound. I mean, he's just always tinkering, and it's actually crazy how much time he has to do that in between, practicing and teaching a new guy how to play all the songs. It's his dedication is remarkable. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Matthew Ross, I am pretty damn close to that myself. But
Listen, you're lost
yeah,
if you do that.
just a lot of OB6 talk. That's
And then we closed the
that's
set with what I was calling the Hose Cadia last night. You get a little nice intro jam, kind of like the 12:30:22 Cincy version, which I love. More of this, please. And then they just proceed to just open it up. Arcadia just like, I mean, we got a text from a friend of the pod, Brian Brinkman, last night, something to the effect of like, is there really anything left to be explored in Arcadia jam wise? And I was like, I don't really care at this point. Like, if they're gonna play it like this, I'm game.
fine. And the answer is yes, and he knows that. He knows the answer to that question.
He does know that.
But
yeah,
that's what I would say to him. But
yeah, Brandon, what do you think of this Arcadia?
It was awesome. Opening notes, like immediately, I was like, "Oh yeah!" And then Peter's like, I mean, he just sounds so good with like everything up there, and like he's adding new stuff, and like the clav was so funky. I was so pumped to like, because he really hadn't used it. I don't know if he had used it much, or had he used it yet at that point in the show?
Just a bit. Hojo and Echo, but
that's
nothing
right.
nothing really in like from a jamming standpoint.
Yeah. So it was nice to get that, like, that, and then you got kind of like that funk jam and like opens up, and then you have Rick just like setting everything on fire. That outro I feel like is like extra fiery. Like I've heard a lot of those outros, and that one was like, oh my gosh, like I felt my face was like getting ripped off. And I'm sure that's partially because like I was like in the building for it, but wow, that was pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was watching like people's facial expressions around me, and everyone was like what is going on? Like they're just like, everyone's just like going nuts. It was pretty incredible. Really, I mean, again, not like many things super exploratory, but like that's fine. I had so much fun like throughout that whole jam. Like it was dancey and like just a perfect way to end a set, I think.
Yeah. Turns out Goose is a good rock and roll band. Aside from
who knew?
the improv. Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah, who knew? I do want to actually, instead of talking about the Arcadia, which I think you guys covered, Ryan, what say you? 17-minute Arcadia or 24-minute Empress?
Depends what they're doing with the Empress. If the Empress is like the one from St. Louis,
which is 24
last
minutes.
Week, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah,
I think it's like 21, but semantics.
It's crowd noise gets it to 24.
Yeah. So basically, it to me that comparison depends on if they're jamming out the Empress. If it's like 24-minute standard Empress, which we've heard before, I'd rather the 17-minute Arcadia for sure.
I agree with that 100%.
If you're getting a juicy improvisational segment in this Empress, give me the Empress. Brandon, what do you think in that comparison?
Yeah, I mean that Empress from St. Louis was awesome. Like just completely new, fresh feel to it. Like you get the OB6, and then like you had Rick using the synth guitar, and like, yeah, I mean, if it's like that, I would take the Empress. But yeah, if we're talking a 17-minute Arcadia versus a 24-minute Empress that like has been like kind of the standard, I'd take the Arcadia, I think, every time.
Yeah. And I mean, and what a finish, as you said, like, that this is also like, again, you're playing the hits for the people that haven't seen Goose before, so, and again, Encore, this is a song that pretty much everybody knows, the way it is, and guaranteed to to rip, and it ripped. Nice dark tension builds here. We were joking like, this is what they couldn't do with Hornsby in December. But
Yeah.
how did the way it is feel in the building?
Yeah, you can definitely tell on those covers when it's something that people like recognize. I didn't get the same feeling with Hojo that people like knew it as well as the way it
Who
is.
doesn't know NRBQ?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it was I was actually kind of hoping for a hot tea. It's kind of interesting that they keep doing covers in the encore. Not a complaint, just an interesting pattern that's kind of been emerging this tour. I was not expecting that kind of like dark tension, so that was pretty cool. But again, I mean, it's a solid way to end the show. Like when you're in a place that like you haven't spent a lot of time in, like close that thing out with a song that a lot of people know, but add your own like twist on it, like they did with the dark tension, and like kind of make it a little bit more memorable than just like obviously if they played the cover straight up, it would still be like incredible because they're incredible at the covers. But yeah, that like darkness kind of ending was like that was pretty sweet. So yeah, I was happy with it. It was a good cover, and great way to end the show. High energy.
Really interesting point about the covers and the encore slot. I didn't really think about that until you pointed it out. And it's like the staples too. It's like Don't Do It, Please Forgive Me, The Way It Is. These all have been around for a really long time, and for some reason or another have played the heck out of all of them. That is a pretty interesting point.
I think for the most part. Sorry, just before you move on, I want to reference.
No,
do
your thing. You're going to talk about the music. I'm going to talk about something else related to the song. I think you know what it is, but let's get there.
Yes. Yeah. I wanted to make sure you were going to mention that. Anyway, I think covers in the encore, they do that a lot as well because there aren't a lot of like 5-minute Goose songs. And they can play like a Don't Do It in the encore, and it's 5 minutes. If they're getting up against curfew. Last night, it was like an 11 like soft curfew. Like. It's like you should be done at 11, but like you absolutely have to be done by 11:30. So they went a couple minutes over, which was like, fine. But yeah, I think it's just easier for them to throw, a quick cover in the encore. They could have some nice 5-minute Goose encores like an Animal, but that song is 15 minutes. Neil, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to talk about RJ, our friend RJ.
Oh, yes.
The guy who's in charge of Osiris, like who does their podcast. So
shout out.
I was going to do the count, actually, and I forgot to do it. Like how many shows it is until RJ is going to be at Goose. But I think
there's still a number of them. They could play The Way It Is again.
Do you think there's going to be 2 in a tour? That's what I was going to say. Like, does RJ have hope right now?
I'm sure he does. I mean, they did it twice in a tour last spring. They played it at the Ryman, the show before RJ was there, and then they played it again in St. Paul. Which wasn't that many shows later. So
that's true.
I mean, it would be funny if he was going to be in Kansas City tonight. But
that would be funny.
I have faith. Now that we've drawn attention to the fact that RJ will be seeing Goose, maybe he was keeping it a secret, so they didn't know. So maybe they'd play it. But now it's out in the universe. The Way It Is at the Man. Can we get it?
We're going to keep track of this now. From now until the Man, we should bring this up on every show,
every pod.
Yeah,
the Way It Is
how
watch.
Many shows it's been since The Way It Is. We do hope RJ gets it.
Yes, we do.
But if he doesn't, I sure hope they play at the show right before the Man.
Yeah.
Oh, they wouldn't do Portland again, unfortunately. That would be they wouldn't do that. But in any case, it would be funny if they did.
It would be funny. Anyway, so Kansas City tonight, we talked about, Omaha is not a place they've played since 2018 when they were opening for Aqueous. Thank you to whoever corrected me at the beginning of the pod when I said Spafford. But Kansas City, they've played a few times, most recently in fall 2022, same venue. And we are 5 shows into the tour. And what kind of struck me this morning is how many songs they haven't played on this tour. If we're assuming that St. Louis is the beginning of tour, we have so many songs like No Hot Tea, Flow Down, Rosewood, Everything Must Go, tons of bangers on the table for tonight. I am personally expecting some repeats to start tonight. But it would be cool if they go. I don't think they've gone 6 shows in a row before without repeating a song. So we'll see if that does happen. But
Feels impossible, but hey.
Yeah. Can't believe I'm asking this, but Fantasy Goose update. Matthew Ross is wondering. Well, I don't think we're doing particularly well in this tour so far, Neil. But let's see who's in the top 5 right now. Shout out to Jarmo with 104 points in first place. Chris Newcomb, our nemesis of the pod, if you will, in Fantasy Goose. More Jibes nemesis. In second with 97. It's going down tonight in third with 94. Taco Trucks with a Z in fourth with 93.
That would
tied
be
with
a Z.
Cliff.
A Z.
It's a Z. Tied with Cliff in fifth with 93 points. Scrolling down to try to find one of us. D currently leading the pod with 81 points. Keep going and try to find the rest of us.
Oh, you just
Neil.
went past me.
No, Neil's got 72. Jive has 71. Kev has 69. Nice. And where am I? I have 67. Okay. You know what? I'm not that far behind you right now. It's still early. We got a ton of shows. I've had a much better performance.
You know what that does mean, though, which is really interesting?
What?
Is that you're in last place. I just want to put that out there.
Out of the 5 of us, I'm currently in last place by 2 points. Yes.
That is damn right. In any case.
Listen, Kev's just having a good time. So it's only a matter of time before I pass him. Anyway, that brings us to the end of our Omaha recap here today. Thank you so much, Brandon, for joining us. It's been a pleasure. We are back tonight, of course, in Kansas City. We will be here on the couch. Showtime is a little bit later tonight, unfortunately. 9:00 Eastern time, showtime. So, we'll be up a little later tonight. Neil won't, but I'll be up a little later tonight. And we will be back tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern to recap tonight's show as we are heading east. Tonight is the last non-Eastern time show of the tour.
Hell yes.
Woo! That's
we
what we
need
like
the Andy Frasco, can you get that lined up for the next one?
That actually just reminded me. I queued up smoking before the pod, and
That's incredible, dude. Nicely done.
I was gonna pepper that in, and at this point, I probably should have just saved it for tomorrow. But I did think of that earlier today. I was like, I should get the smoke machine sound effect.
Oh man,
for the pod. Anyway, we're going off the rails. We've been here for almost an hour. We'll let everybody go and enjoy the rest of their Tuesday afternoon. See you on the couch tonight. Of course, as always, get involved with the setlist thread with us. I will at least be live tweeting. Neil will be tweeting until he goes to bed. But there's always great discourse happening online during the shows. So engage with us and definitely come back tomorrow. As always, we're live. Here we are. Thanks again, Brandon. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Day After Show. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again.